EdTech Mondays Kenya is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with EdTech East Africa.
Hello and welcome to EdTech Mondays Kenya. My name is Moses Kemibaro, your host and moderator for the Kenya edition. This month, we look at accelerating blended learning in Kenya. The objective of Kenya's Ministry of Education is to provide quality education and training that prepares learners to competitively thrive within a highly integrated, technology-oriented and information-based global economy. As a result, technology is being used in educational institutions to support the teaching, learning, and management processes. Blended learning is an approach of education in which traditional in-person classes are supplemented or supported with technology, and learners take advantage of both online and offline resources. Pedagogy is the combination of teaching methods, what instructors do, learning activities, what instructors ask their students to do, and learning assessments, the assignments, projects, or tasks that measure student learning. From this perspective, for blended learning to succeed, the pedagogical approach must be adapted accordingly for teachers or educators to do so successfully. This means that they need to acquire the necessary teaching skills and use technology-based tools to ensure quality learning outcomes. In today's conversation, we will explore the current state of blended learning in Kenya with a focus on the CBC from the perspectives of teachers as well as the EdTech solution providers who make it all possible. I'm delighted to introduce our panel for today. Lucy Wamiru Gishira, teacher, Kirinyaga County. Jennifer Wanjiru Mureithi, curriculum support officer, Inoi Zone, Kirinyaga Central, Kirinyaga County. And Lucy Maina, IREX. Our sign language interpreter is Rosa Molo. But before we get into our panel conversation for today's Stories on the Ground, we visit Mwamguga Primary School in Kwale County to learn more about the Kenya Play or K-Play, which is a project that infuses play with technology for learning. Let us hear more about how play improves learning in classrooms.
We were blessed to be part of the IREX K-Play team. We got enrolled with the K-Play in 2022. 7 teachers from the school were trained.
At K-Play, we train teachers, we provide soft skills and methodologies to deliver 21st century skills and learning. We do this in 3 training academies. The first training academy, we focus on the introduction of play and learning, which helps teachers to understand the instructional value of play. And in the second training academy, we take it a little higher and introduce making and tinkering. This has to do with things such as Lego play boxes. Finally, in our third training academy, we introduce creative coding using Scratch. Here we introduce technology, introducing basic use of computers, and finally basic coding, which includes Scratch.
We provide support to the teachers in preparation for the training academies, ensuring that these teachers and CSOs are going through the K-Play content, brushing their skills, and also getting to interact more with the content that they are supposed to deliver in the classrooms.
K-Play also provided us with a laptop, which has been useful in coding and on Scratch, which we were also trained to use in our classes.
There has been a great change in our learners' attitude. They wake up every day looking towards learning because of the fun that has come along with learning.
When I come to school every day, I will know many things about science.
Play Lab makes this place fun because we use the toys, we play with our friends, we use the laptops.
As a teacher, I'm able to meet the CBC competencies through my learners when they engage in the different activities.
One of the biggest challenges that we experience is we don't have adequate gadgets. We only have one lab that we occupy that is being used from ECD to the junior secondary.
And after watching that video, I'm here back at the studio with our panelists who are going to take us through some of the thoughts they have around the role of technology in improving blended learning for students in the learning environment. So maybe starting with all of you giving us this point of view, can you tell us how technology has become sort of critical to the learning experience in classrooms today, and more importantly for the teacher, the parents, and the students?
When we use technology for learning, learning becomes more impactful for the learners because you can explain difficult concepts and they can use different senses, multiple senses to learn. So that helps with learning becoming more exciting, more meaningful and being able to communicate different concepts to the children.
What about you, Jennifer? What's been your experience from that perspective?
Technology and learning these days are inseparable. When you want your child to learn, expose, because we are in a global world and it is very small, like a village. We want that connectivity. We want our children to belong, and we want one nation. So through technology, our children are able to research, find themselves, learn more, as it is put in CBC, learning to learn. They can as well continue learning through technology when they are alone, if they are well equipped. Therefore, technology has to be there, whether we like it or not. Actually, it's also assisting us as teachers to come up with a parental engagement in the education of their children, because they'll have to support with technology at home. And some researches, some assignments have to be undertaken through technology. So the parent has been brought close to the child or even the guardian. Therefore, I think it's just the way to go.
And lastly to you, Lucy, again, given your perspectives as a teacher, what has the role been of technology in the learning experience?
For sure, we cannot avoid it because now the world is evolving. We are coming from old to new. So we cannot learn away from the digital world. And that is why we are trying all our level best so that we can incorporate the old approaches with the digi world so that we can give out good learning outcomes.
I'd like to come back to you, Lucy. You're representing IREX, and of course, you have this very interesting initiative or project that you're running in both, I think, Kilifi and Kwale counties, the coast, specifically the Kenya Play or K-Play program. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, which I think is focused on play-based learning and how you use that within a blended sort of environment around the CBC program?
So basically, we are infusing play into the classrooms. Okay. And as well as technology, which is part of the curriculum. So it is well aligned with the CBC competencies of digital literacy, of communication and collaboration, of creativity and imagination. And so we are using this to bring out the competencies that are within the CBC curriculum. And Kwale and Kilifi are underserved spaces or locations. And if you look at Nakonek and the places that have been listed as semi-arid regions or counties, Kwale and Kilifi fall under that space. So that's why we are working with Kwale and Kilifi to make sure that we can improve their learning outcomes by infusing these two approaches to learning.
And more specifically, how do you work with teachers to use this new approach?
With the teachers, we train them. So we have, and through the CSOs, the CSOs are curriculum support officers like my colleague here. And so we have developed some capacity building manuals, and then we train the CSOs, and the CSOs are able to cascade that to the teachers. We have 3 training academies. The first training academy is introducing play with technology. And then the second training academy looks at introduction, tinkering, and making. So that helps children to get hands-on a bit more. And play is in these 2 training academies used to infuse learning, play within the curriculum and the lesson plans. The training is on introduction to coding through Scratch. So in the grade 4, grade 5, grade 6 curriculums, especially science and technology, there is that topic on coding, and which the teachers have been living it out because then they are not well equipped with the skills. And so we have been able to equip the teachers so that they can take the children through coding and Scratch. And the interesting bit about this approach is that you can use it for any learning area, whether it's maths, it's arts and crafts, it's home science, environmental studies, anything works. So the teacher just needs to get to understand how the methodology works and then use it within the classroom with the learners. And it's very engaging, it's playful, it's joyful, it's very exciting.
I think I'd love to hear, Jennifer, your perspective as a curriculum support officer at Kirinyaga County. How exactly are you able to work with teachers, especially around the CBC, to acquire these skills and to more or less be able to then deliver the learning experiences that are going to create the right learning outcome?
Teachers are teachers. and they're always ready to learn. That is one characteristic of a teacher who is super. Those who don't want to learn are not teachers. And so it's very easy working with teachers in digital world, because when they're introduced to it and they have the interest, they acquire it very fast. But I'm sorry, we are at infancy stage. Most of them are in the 20th century, while the children are in the 21st century. The skills of the 21st century are very different from the 20th century teacher. And therefore, the generational gap has become a barrier to digital world in the class. But when it is interacted with, it is performing very, very well. There are other times when you'll find teachers struggle. We usually have teacher performance appraisal and development. Many people think it is hard copies. These days, it's online. If it is online, our teachers have to appraise themselves online. So they will have, even with the technophobia, learn how to maybe self-appraise. Because if you're appraised by another person, the highest rating is 5, and you're given a 1 or a 2. Go for promotional interviews. Your TPAD, your appraisal, we rate you low because you are a low-performing teacher. Come to progress records. These days, they have to put it online. With CBC, we have grade 3. Their progress has to be recorded and uploaded to the NEC portal. What do? If you can't beat them, join them. So the teachers are joining because it is becoming a requirement. And also, Teacher Service Commission is making sure we are going digital.
Thank you so much again for joining us today. I just want to ask you, as a teacher, CBC has completely different demands from the traditional classroom where you do everything in the classroom. And now you have this blended learning approach. I'd like to understand from you that transition from doing it traditional way into how you're doing it today with the sort of blended learning approach.
It is not easy now for us teachers to come from old to new, but we are really trying. For us, for our case, we feel that we were not well retuned because the trainings were not well structured. But with the passionate teacher, we were able to come out and we are able to do it, and which is very fruitful, because the learning outcomes, they are good. The learning is enjoyable, it is fun, and also the branding, it is also retaining children in school. When they know that tomorrow they will have a branded lesson, they will make sure that they are in school with and without food. They must come to school because of this branded learning.
And what about your own personal journey? I think you shared with us an interesting narrative earlier around how you went through this process of acquiring the skills and dealing with this technophobia, which I think...
Parents, they are very happy. They really embrace it. Like now when they hear that the school, we are doing branded learning, that is now their school. In fact, when I heard that I will be in grade 1, because I was the youngest that time in the zone, so that I can wait for the digit, for these devices. I was feeling now, this is not what I want. But through the interest, I have maneuvered by myself. After training, I looked for a resource teacher who has taken me through, and now I am able to at least to do something using the digital devices which we have in school. But now for most of the teachers, for sure, they are not using them, to say the truth. The digital devices, they are just locked in the store because they feel that, yes, you gave us the gas cooker, which will cook very fast, but you have not given us the manual. Now we are not, yes, we don't know how to use them. So they are still using the firewood, which they are able to use, which they are conversant with.
Okay. Yeah. And what about parents? How do parents come into this equation? And I think this is something we can all discuss. How do we bring parents into this aspect?
Parents, they are very happy. They really embrace it. Like now when they hear that the school, we are doing blended learning, that is now their school.
I'd like to come back again to you, Lucy. You're working with an EdTech service provider. You provide solutions through K-Play or Kenya Play. And I'm just wondering, from your point of view, which I think connects nicely back to what he's saying, what does it take for a teacher to become successful in a blended learning approach, given that you provide some of the technologies that are used in this sort of scenario for the CBC?
Very interesting. I almost jumped into her conversation because when we trained teachers, we found that the older teachers were really pushing the computer towards the younger ones so that they would basically use the device. So initially we wanted to just teach coding because that was part of the curriculum. It was easy for teachers to take it up. But what we found was that it's very fundamental that you teach the basic digital skills. We have basically trained the teachers on digital skills. The second piece of it is that we have a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel gives step-by-step processes for use of some of the technologies, and which helps now the teachers to be able to use their own time. The third thing for us is that in the schools, when we went to most of these schools, we found that, as she said, they have preserved the digital devices. In some schools, they're even brand new, like the same way they were brought by the government. Wow. They've never been used.
Sitting there.
They're just sitting there.
Wow.
And so getting them off that space where they are preserving them, for lack of a better word, to them using it has been a journey, but they are actually taking it up. A lot of them have started using the digital devices in the classroom. They have started teaching coding, which is available in the curriculum. It's part of the curriculum in grade 4, 5, and 6. It's becoming very exciting. And as the teacher said, I've been to a class where it's difficult to stop the lesson because the children want to go on and on and on and on because it's very exciting. And with that, there's a lot of retention and the children are joyful, they're happy, and they want to come to school every single day.
Jennifer, there's something I want to ask you. When it comes to teaching, or rather teaching teachers and being, this curriculum support officer that you are, what are some of the challenges and opportunities that you've seen around the fact that this technology is definitely engaging both the teachers and the learners, but it's constantly a moving target. You're having to keep learning, keep adopting these new skills, taking this to the teachers. What are some of the ways that you're looking at handling that sort of challenge or situation so that you can be more effective in delivering this learning through the teachers for the CBC and, of course, the blended learning that we're discussing today?
Actually, dealing with teachers is usually not very, very easy because they are adults and they have their characteristics and behavior, but it depends on how you handle them. I think I heard Madam Lucy previously say that some teachers will cow away from a CSO. Where I come from, they call me. We will sit, discuss, and do things together. So it also depends on how you approach them. In the beginning, you tell them to do things, they don't know how to do them. So what do? You start with maybe setting a climate that is conducive for the teacher to learn. And that gap that was there between a supervisor and the person supervised has been reduced. Yeah. And that is why we've changed from the supervisors or the zonal inspectors of education to curriculum support officers. You are supporting. Once you know somebody is coming to support you, you have a positive attitude. And that is where I begin from. I first lay the ground, and after that, I can request a teacher, may I carry out a lesson observation in your class? And after making an agreement, I'll even inform the teacher in advance, prepare, I'm coming. So the teacher has no ill feeling. I am not a fault finder. The CSO is coming to support me. And we have the textbooks and the teacher's guides that have been done so well that at the step of ICT integration, the teacher is reminded by the teacher's guide. You're supposed to integrate ICT. This is where I find the teacher is not integrating ICT. Why? In preparation or did not even prepare to go to class. And this is where we remind one another very amicably. Failure to plan is planning to fail. So if you didn't plan your lesson, you'll not even remember there was to be ICT integration. And once it gets into the minds of the teachers, they are very strict. I'm a fidelity to the script. They want to go as per the guidance. That is one thing that has assisted me get into the core. Because we know the core mandate of a teacher is to facilitate learning. And you facilitate what makes every child equal to one another. What a child in Turkana is learning is what the child in Kirinyaga is learning. They need to be exposed to the same thing. So teacher prepare and implement so that when you evaluate what you have taught. And ICT is part of the curriculum. That has really assisted me. Lesson observation. And after the lesson observation, we don't just part ways. We have the feedback session where we sit. Sometimes where schools are streamed, I may not make it see every teacher. They will come into a classroom. One teacher facilitates learning. They observe with me. And after that, we give a round table feedback. We improve the lesson. The teacher will tell us, how well did you do it? What is this you feeling you did best? Then after that, we also tell her or him, this is what you did best. But if you did it this way, it could have come out better. And that is where I'll tell the teacher, kindly, if you simplified this vocabulary by using ICT, you couldn't have struggled.
So you're showing the gaps there. Then,
Yeah.
Yes?
You don't show the teacher you are a weak teacher, but you're trying to bridge in a very easy way. If you used ICT, you could have done it better. And the children could have enjoyed, because maybe they could even be the ones searching for the meaning of the word. And if they search for it, teacher, I found it. You can see that learner engagement in class through ICT. So that is one thing I use.
And maybe Teacher Lucy, to wrap us up, your perspectives around parents and this new form of blended learning.
In CBC, parental engagement, it is a core competence. So without a parent, we cannot bring a holistic child. So a parent must be there. And that is why in our school, for example, we have a meeting at the beginning of the term. And as the teachers, in every class, there is a teacher representative where we tell parent what we are doing, what we want from them. And most of them, they are very cooperative.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jennifer. Thank you so much, Lucy. Thank you so much for sharing. It's been a wonderful conversation.
I need to say one thing.
One more thing, yes?
Yes, I think in this whole discussion, we've not talked about inclusive education, and which is very vital. IREX is actually working with special needs, and including even the learners who are not, who have challenges. And so I just wanted to say before you close that it's very important that these approaches are also recognized as approaches that can be used with children with special needs. And we've done that with different schools, Kinango School for the deaf. We have done that with different schools in the coastal region. So I think it's important to, as you talk about blended learning, to know that it actually works not only for abled children, but even the children with different challenges.
And that is so important. And actually, on a previous show, we went to a school where they've set up a facility also for the visually impaired, and they are using something called the Orbit Reader and these technologies that actually make learning so much easier for them. So I completely thank you for bringing that up. I think it's something important. But once again, ladies, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. We're delighted at all you've shared. There's so much here that I think our viewers and our parents and our caregivers will find valuable. But more importantly, I think you've helped us demystify some of the aspects of blended learning as far as the CBC is concerned. And I think we can look towards the future with a lot of optimism. Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching this edition. Follow more of these conversations on the Mastercard Foundation YouTube channel and the Young Africa Works Facebook page. My name is Moses Kemibaro. Our sign language interpreter is Rosomolo. See you again in the next edition of EdTech Mondays Kenya.
EdTech Mondays Kenya is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with EdTech East Africa.